Welcome Facebook Live. Elyse Southwell here at Nasdaq Market Site for Nasdaq Disruptors. Today we're talking about digital advertising, specifically ad networks. We're here with Franchi, the co-founder of Undertone, who's going to give us the scoop on ad networks and how he got started. Welcome, Eric. Thanks for being here.
Thank you, Elyse. Great to be here.
So what is Undertone?
Undertone is a advertising technology company. We help advertisers, brand advertisers specifically, create and distribute beautiful, engaging ads across websites, mobile environments, and apps. We call it creating unmissable experiences.
So Undertone started in 2001.
Yep.
So for our viewers out there that understand digital media, they understand digital ads, but they don't understand what is an ad network. Can you sort of give us a 101 on what is an ad network?
Yeah, absolutely. So we got our start, as you said, 15 years ago when the web was a much different place. And we identified an opportunity because the opportunities for media buyers, brands, agencies, was changing. You originally had sort of like Sports Illustrated, hypothetically, for sports, and Time for news, but there was this multiplication of a lot of different environments where advertisers could advertise on. But it was hard for them to scale that. It was hard for them to make a lot of phone calls, develop a lot of relationships. So the original ad network model was sort of a middleman type of model where they would aggregate all the different website opportunities to advertise on and then sell different types of packages to advertisers and audiences. Fast forward 15 years, the network model is still in existence. It's changed a lot thanks to technology and ways to connect with consumers differently, new environments, new devices. But Google has one of the largest ad networks in the world called Google Display Network. Facebook has Facebook Audience Network. So it's still an engine for growth for a lot of big companies. It's just changed a great deal.
So, okay, so you mentioned obviously the 15-year gap. So when in 2001, I mean, did people understand what a network was, or were they just like, I'm taking out my media, you know, if I was a brand taking out my media buy, I was just going to do that. Did they were they receptive to the network? Did they think it was a cool idea? They must have. Or no?
Just like with, no. So just like with everything internet advertising, the original sort of embracers of the model were like direct response type of advertisers. Those are our first clients.
Sure.
We firmly believe that the model had opportunity for brands and agencies, but to be honest with you, that was our biggest challenge in the beginning. They didn't really understand or believe in the model. So wait, we're going to run with you on a lot of different types of sites? I just want to be on this one environment. So you know, again, after years of it, there was a boom in ad networks because everybody realized this was a great way to advertise, but it just took a while.
You're running the company, it's going well. Everybody's talking about it, saying it's the hottest place to work. It's you're doing really cool things, and then you had a pivot. Why did you have a pivot?
Sure. So a few years ago, we saw the writing on the wall when it came to how technology was changing the digital ad business. Technology, in many cases, was disrupting a lot of what companies like Undertone would do with automating a lot of the processes with allowing advertisers to buy across multiple environments. And then there was the explosion of mobile and so on and so forth. On the other side of the coin, though, we saw this opportunity to make ads themselves better, because there was so much focus on automation, there was so much focus on data, there was so much focus on figuring out how to create more and more ads to target people in fine ways. Nobody was really thinking about the creative. Nobody was thinking about, wow, people aren't looking at banners, people are ignoring them, they're not seeing them, they're not clicking on them. So we said, we're going to try to figure out how we can make ads better. So that was a big pivot for the company, but we realized we had the foundation in place. We had relationships, we had technology, we had a lot of experience, but it was a big bet for the company, but ultimately it was the right bet. It paid off, and we created a new category for ourselves that we became the leader in. We call it high impact advertising, things that are different, that are bigger, that are more engaging than just your standard banner ads that really nobody looks at.
Cool. You started your career as a sales guy at About.com.
Yes.
And then
long time ago.
You said it's going well, right? And then you left with a colleague or friend, and you started out on your own.
Yeah.
How did you even get the chutzpah to do that? What made you do that?
Yeah. So I think number one, we saw the opportunity. Way back then, there was not a lot of people with digital advertising and digital marketing expertise. So we would get questions from clients like, hey, what do you think about this? Could you help us with this? But we were kind of limited in our roles, kind of being sales reps for one company. So we left and started a business just helping clients spend their money more effectively, and started Undertone shortly thereafter. So I think it was a combination of opportunity, seeing the writing on the wall that there was, a real demand in the marketplace, and then taking the leap and having faith in ourselves to go for it. It was a different time. Entrepreneurialism and all the things that we read about and all this great content about how to do it and venture investment, it wasn't a thing back then. Nobody really even believed in the web in 2001. So it was really taking a big bet on what we saw was the future, and again, thankfully, it was the right move.
So almost you were a sales guy, and the brands were using you as a consultant.
Yeah.
So it was like, why don't I just go out on my own?
Yeah, it was just that. It was just that.
You started this business in a cramped apartment.
Yeah.
A lot of our viewers love, the shows like Shark Tank and all these, shows about entrepreneurs and all the things that they do and all the sort of sweat equity that goes into that. Tell us about what that was like. One day you're working in an office, next day you're in your apartment.
Yeah, so it was my co-founder Mike Cassidy's apartment specifically. It was on 34th and 9th. So right above the Lincoln Tunnel, very glamorous section of town, in his apartment that he shared with two other roommates from his college years, and that was where the business was started. Thankfully, we didn't spend too much time there amongst all the other folks, but we started from the beginning from literally nothing, no funding, just a lot of hustle, a lot of folks that believed in us in the beginning. Fast forward to today, we're just down the street, 43rd and Madison. We've got 100 plus people in New York City, 275 globally for Undertone, many more for our parent company, Perion, who bought us. So it's been amazing to see where we came from and where we're at today.
Oh, I bet that apartment has a special place in your heart.
Yeah.
Do you consider yourself a disruptor?
I feel like disruptor is a term that is bestowed upon you and not something you bring out there to the world. I'm a disruptor, but if I think about the things that we've done in the market over the years, which was be early to a category that we thought was really interesting, but companies didn't believe in. Make the big pivot towards creating a new market, and then myself, with some of my own personal investment activities, I look for companies that are shaking up existing markets, looking for new markets. I would call myself a disruptor, but maybe a quiet disruptor. I'm not out there pounding my chest.
Modest disruptor.
Yeah, I'm disrupting things. I think that's something that people will call you.
Our viewers love to hear about the stories when you first started the business. So do you have any stories that you could share, maybe even some challenges?
Sure. So when we started the business, it was unlike some other businesses where you kind of struggle to find what they call product market fit in the beginning, because we were helping clients along the way, we knew that there was something here. And I distinctly remember this Friday in 2002 when we really kind of got the business off the ground, and we had this fax machine, because back then, you remember, right? But back then, when you would get a contract from a client, they would sign it, they would fax it to you. Now this has all been digitized with EchoSign and everything like that. And I remember this one Friday distinctly, right after we really started going, the fax machine wouldn't stop ringing. People were sending us contracts.
That's a good problem.
Literally all morning long, and it's just that's burned into my memory as wow, one of these moments that we said, okay, we need to hire some people, and we hired a sales rep, and then we hired another sales rep, and really built the company from there. I would say challenges. We didn't know what we were doing, right? The environment was much different. There weren't. We didn't have any investors. We didn't even have any books that exist today on how to make it as an entrepreneur. So we had to just figure it out, make a lot of mistakes along the way. But I think knocking on the doors of every major brand and mostly hearing no from Fortune 500 brands, and then 15 years later, if you go to our website at undertone.com. Those are some of the clients that we showcase, the work that we do for them with great creative, and we're building ads for some of the best brands in the world. It's pretty special. So I think kind of coming a long way is really neat. Sort
of though how you used to help your clients at About, and advise them, and then you saw the market to go off on your own. I'm sure that they helped you, right? And if you had issues when you were in your own business, there was no board to call, right?
Yeah.
There was no VC firm.
Yeah, and I think we emerged better as a result. We had to learn from our mistakes. We had to think about how to do things differently.
15 years later, Undertone Sold.
Yeah.
What was the first thing that you did when you got the news?
So the first thing that I did, you know, when a company's acquired, it's sort of a strange process with a lot of, you know, okay, this wire hit, this thing was signed, so it's not what you expect. The first thing I did after the deal was officially closed was I texted my co-founder Mike, and I said, "It's it, we did it," and it was a very surreal moment because it was a long road, and you know, being able to share that moment, if only virtually, with him, because we were both just sort of speechless and couldn't talk, that was really special. And then I went home. I think I had some pizza and a glass of wine with my wife, and slept, and woke up early and went to work the next day, because the most important thing is how do we then make this successful for our acquirer? How do we then communicate this to all of our employees, right? Because acquisitions mean change, in many cases, a lot of positive change. So we literally had a moment and then went right back to work, and we've been working ever since.
That's good advice. A lot of people don't mention that part. It's really business as usual.
Yeah, you think that there's this moment where, you know, the company gets acquired, you go off and, you know,
you're in Fiji.
You go off to Fiji, you put your feet up. That is not what happens. You're on the phone all day the next day, you're working hard, you're doing a lot of communication. The actions that brought you there are then the actions that are going to make you successful moving forward.
Nasdaq's all about ambition, innovation, obviously entrepreneurialism. So for everybody watching out there that has ideas or has a company that's maybe about to be acquired or trying to get there, what advice do you have for any entrepreneur?
Sure. So a few things. I think that number one, there's a lot of short-term thinking today. You know, people think that they're going to start a company, it's going to grow big. You know, we're going to, you know, get 1 million downloads of our app and get a lot of customers. Entrepreneurialism is a journey. I mean, companies are successful in a decade, in 15 years. It doesn't happen overnight. So I would say be ready for probably a longer road. But that's a good thing, because I think that encourages long-term thinking. That encourages making the right decisions in every facet of the business, right? So it's number one, be ready to dig in for this for the long term and only start a business that you think you can be a part of and run for 10 years. Number two, get good at hiring, get good at people right away. The success of a business is not about you as an entrepreneur, it's not about your idea, it's not about the product, it's about your ability to execute and market, and you can only do that with great people. So get great at hiring, get great at managing, get great at creating teams that work together effectively. And then number three, go all in on culture. One of the things that I'm most proud of about Undertone is we've been recognized by our employees as a great place to work many times.
In the press, a lot of press about that.
Yeah, no, it's been great. In Cranes, in Ad Age, in all of these places. And we've been so fortunate to build a culture that people love to come to work to every day, that will, you know, talk about us positively to their friends and in the press. And, you know, in many cases, people leave. And when I reconnect with them, when I see them later on, they're like, wow, you know, we miss Undertone, we miss the culture, we miss the people, we miss the special thing that we had. But it's been great to, you know, be part of something that allowed people to have a great experience, but also move on to great things. There's people from Undertone that work at Google, at Facebook, at Apple, at Spotify, at Uber, at all, you know, the companies that are really changing the world. And to be able to, you know, help along some way somebody that's doing great things, I mean, what's better than that? So it's thinking long term, it's people, and it's culture. It's not the things that you might think about in terms of just like product and technology, like that's a given. It's how you execute and it's how you bring together teams.
That's really cool.
Thank you.
Eric, thank you so much for being here.
Thank you, Elyse.
Thank you all for watching. I'm Elyse Southwell with Nasdaq Disruptors. Thanks again. Have a great day, everybody.